Well, happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too. How great is this season?
Oh, love it, love it. I look forward to Thanksgiving because I think it's one of my favorite, actually. So I'm very happy to be talking with you about this.
Me too. I'm really thrilled, and thank you for letting me share some tips and tricks and some really important messages too.
Yeah, let's start with the important message. What is the Share Meal program, and how can we make it a part of this year's Thanksgiving celebration?
Well, so Unilever has Unilever Project Sunlight. And this holiday season, they have a Share a Meal program. And I love this program because they couldn't have made it easier for you to give back. The most important thing that got me involved was I heard this one statistic. 1 in 5 children is struggling with hunger in America. 1 in 5. Think about that. Think about a classroom and how many children are in a classroom. When I say 1 in 5, that's probably an average of 5 children per classroom. Over 16 million children are hungry in America.
Whoa.
It's unbelievable. So when you hear that, and then we talk about Thanksgiving, I feel like it's our duty. It's important for us to find ways that we can give back when we're sitting around being thankful and sharing a meal with our family and friends. We can also share a meal with those hungry people. And the easiest way to get involved and do that is to buy Unilever products. So for this holiday season, if you buy Unilever products, you can actually help feed some of those hungry people in America. And I think there's no easier way. So my Thanksgiving dinner table is gonna have country crock creamy mashed potatoes, and it's gonna have Hellmann's mayonnaise turkey cranberry sandwiches as my leftover 12:01 in my pajamas, fridge open, making my sandwich, the door's beeping because I won't even close it, I'm eating it so fast. That's how I'm gonna easily be able to give back and share a meal with more than just friends and family.
What a great initiative. That's beautiful.
It's really, really great and easy to get involved. You can go to projectsunlight.us and actually find other ways to get involved, whether it's donating money or time. But to me, this was just such a great, easy way to help. And I have to say, I mean, 1 in 5 in America, it's our responsibility to make that 1 in 5. And Unilever can't do it alone. We have to get involved. And there's no easier way, no excuses, basically.
Right. With it being that easy, hopefully the success is greater too.
Exactly. Unilever actually has fed over 30 million meals in the past 5 years to families in need. But when I still hear that number and it's growing, that means there's a lot of people out there that need help and that are hungry. And most importantly, I mean, children have to focus and grow, and we want to sculpt these great minds. We need to make sure that they have, food in their belly.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of the Thanksgiving dinner, I thought this was kind of a funny thought. Are you always expected, because of your career and your skills, is it always you that is cooking and hosting Thanksgiving?
It's funny because it typically is, and also it isn't. It's been about half and half. It depends on if I'm with family and friends. Yes, I'm usually expected to at least bring a dish, or if it's at my house, of course I'm cooking the whole thing. Even when I go to somebody else's house and bring a dish, they kind of leave things for me to do, which I'm fine with. That's what I do and love, and it's my favorite thing to do. But I would say half and half because I'm in New York and I'm actually from Tennessee, so half of the past Thanksgivings in the past 10 years I've spent with coworkers, and you might know quite a few of them. So They also cook, and some of them are really great cooks. So I go to their house expecting them to cook.
Oh, that's fun. So when you do cook a turkey, what is your favorite way to prepare it from start to finish?
Ooh, well, start to finish. So I like to keep it really simple. So I think Thanksgiving, we all try those new dishes and it gets a little crazy and we stress ourselves out, and I don't think anybody should stress themselves out. It's just Thanksgiving, and that's the great thing. We're all happy to be together, right? Mm-hmm. So So I keep it simple. Instead of making something new and adventurous and inventive, I like to do a very classic roasted turkey. So I don't really even do I mean, I've done the brine turkeys, I've done the fried turkeys, I've done them all, but I really, this year, I'm keeping it very simple. I'm making sure my turkey is nice and washed and super, super dry. I also want to make sure that the skin is rubbed really, really good with salt and pepper, and then I roast it. And I do low and slow and make sure that it reaches temperature. But low and slow to me helps get the inside cooked and stays nice and juicy. And then I turn up the temperature and get a nice brown golden crust on the top so I can get that crispy skin. So if I raise the heat at the end, it allows that to happen. And then if you want to stuff it with lemons, you can. All that to me is not, I mean, I like to keep it really simple because I really just want the leftovers. As I said, I love the turkey sandwich. It's an addiction, especially with, I mean, I put the Hellmann's mayonnaise on it. I do the cranberry sauce on it. That's my favorite, like my favorite. And then also I would say, do you want some tips for mashed potatoes? Because I told you that was the two classics that I think everybody should have.
Sure.
So potatoes, when you're making your potatoes, what goes wrong, this is the quickest way to look at the dishes that you're making. Find out what typically goes wrong with them and know the tricks to make sure that doesn't happen, or fixes for if that something goes wrong. And I would say that's your homework before you start cooking. So the most important thing when you're making mashed potatoes is how you cook them. You want to make sure they're not overdone and they're not underdone. Overdone makes soupy mashed potatoes. Underdone makes a little bit of those crunchy ones. So you want to make fork tender is what most recipes say, certainly what mine says. So I make sure the fork can easily go in the potato without forcing it too much, but also I don't want the potato to fully break apart. I actually want to be able to hold it up, because that means the potato is cooked, but it's not overcooked. Because if it immediately breaks apart fully, completely in little crumbs, it's overdone. Also, I don't use a blender ever, a hand mixer, any of that, because you can, it's just you're risking them getting really gummy. Over-mixed potatoes make really gummy potatoes. So I use a potato masher, I use a ricer, I've even used a fork in a pinch. That's about it. Also, make sure your water is really salty. This is the one time you can get salt in the potato instead of sitting on top of the potatoes, because once they're already mashed and already cooked, you're not going to get you're not going to get salt in the potato, and again, it'll just be on top. So instead of them tasting nice and balanced, they'll taste salty. So you want to make sure salt the water, and that's your chance to make sure it's balanced.
Oh, those are great tips.
Hopefully they'll help. And then if you just change your shopping list and buy Country Crock, you can make sure that they're also smooth and creamy. It eliminates a little bit of the guilt because they're 30% less fat than butter. But most importantly, if you change your shopping list with a few items this holiday season, it'll make that gathering and that sharing a meal with your family and friends all the sweeter, because you're sharing a meal with that many more people that are hungry out there.
Yeah, and I know this is a big challenge for everybody, but what is your best tip for getting all the Thanksgiving dinner dishes on the table at the same time?
That is a tough one. Well, I would say the hardest thing to hold, turkey you can tent it with a little bit of foil, and that will help. Warming, keeping your oven, just turn it off, but keep the door shut, and it'll keep the oven warm, and you can keep things warm in there. I mean, most likely you don't have two stoves or two stove tops and two ovens and two refrigerators. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to have that, it's a lot easier to get everything on the table at the same time. But if you're not, which like most of us, we don't. I mean, I barely have half of an oven. I'm in New York City. So it's a lot harder to hold things, but that's what you have to think about, is how can you hold that until something else is ready? You have to, when you're planning your dishes, you need to think about what can go in the oven, what can be stovetop. You don't want everything to be in the oven. You won't have room for it all, and you also won't have room to hold things. So you need to balance it out with stovetop and oven. Specifically for mashed potatoes, I find starches are probably the hardest thing to hold and keep warm. So good tips are putting hot melted like the hot melted country crock on top actually will hold it and keep it warm. But also I like to cover it in a little bit of wax parchment, or put this entire bowl of mashed potatoes on top of a little bit of steaming water, and that will help keep it. But then you'd want to tint it so you're keeping it nice and steamed in a way. It's the hardest thing is to hold the food that should be hot, and keep the, and get it all finished at the exact same time. But it's all about planning. And, as I said, if you keep your dishes simple and plan a simple meal, I mean, people are expecting to see cranberry sauce. They're expecting some potatoes. They're expecting some turkey. So, you don't have to go crazy and make things that you've never tried before. Think about when you're doing a turkey, it's just a bigger chicken. Don't let it be too daunting. It's still just poultry.
Yeah. And then if we have time, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dessert recipe?
Ooh, my ginger pumpkin tart. It's delicious.
Ooh.
And it's so good and so easy. It's 5 ingredients. It could not be any easier.
And where do we find that recipe?
You can find that on foodnetwork.com. It also might be on my website, but I would check Food Network. I know it's there. It's ginger pumpkin tart, and it's just so simple. Could not be simpler. And
it sounds good.
Yeah, and you can it's the same thing as a pumpkin tart, but even better. It's jazzed up. And I would actually recommend, now this is a secret because we're only about 5 ingredient cooking, do a salted honey whipped cream with it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Delicious.
That sounds excellent. Well, thank you so much, Claire, for your time. This is all valuable information. I'm really looking forward to Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And please, if you have time, check out projectsunlight.us and let's make Thanksgiving even more thankful for more people in this country.
Absolutely. I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.